Today, we are going to learn a new portion from the chapter Displacing Indigenous People. Before that, if you are yet to subscribe my channel, please subscribe my channel and tap the bell icon for the latest notification. Let us move into the portion. The gold rush and the growth of industries. There was always the hope that there was gold in North America. In the 1840s, traces of gold were found in the USA in California. People always wanted to go to North America in the hope of getting gold. And why they hoped to get the gold? Because in the year 1840s, some traces of gold, few gold, were found in California. California is a place in USA. So people wanted to go to USA for getting gold, for taking out gold. This led to gold rush. So they were searching for gold. People were rushing to USA in the hope of getting gold, and it is what we call gold rush. Okay, people were rushing to get gold when thousands of eager Europeans hurried to America in the hope of making a quick fortune. Okay, so they were hoping to make a lot of money by taking out gold from America to become rich very fast. This led to the building of railway lines across the continent for which thousands of Chinese workers were recruited. So for taking out gold, what did they do? They started making railway lines with the help of whom? With the help of thousands of Chinese workers. The USA's railway was completed by 1870, that of Canada by 1885. So the question can be asked, when did USA's railway line was complete? The USA's railway line was completed by 1870 and that of Canada by 1885. The old nations creep on at a snail's pace, said Andrew Carnegie, a poor immigrant from Scotland who became one of the first millionaire industrialists in the USA. So according to Andrew, the old nations creep on at a snail's pace. Very old nation who are not working hard, who are not finding out the minerals, who are not believing in dedication will be moving at a snail's pace. Snail's pace means their development will happen very slowly. Their development will occur very slowly. And the republic, if a country, if a republic wants to develop, then they have to work hard and it will be moving at the speed of an express. And he was an immigrant who came to USA. You can see here how people are going for gold rush. Now, one reason why the Industrial Revolution happened in England when it did was because small peasants were losing their land to big farmers and moving to jobs in factories. So why Industrial Revolution occurred in England? Because small peasants' lands were losing their land to big farmers. Small lands existed in villages. These small lands were taken over by big farmers. Small peasants did not have any place to go. That's why they started migrating to cities to work in factories, because the common lands were closed. The public spaces were closed and no land for the small peasants or small farmers. That's why they started migrating to the cities in order to get job. And what was the case in North America? In North America, industries developed for a different reason. So in England, the small lands were disappearing, so farmers migrated to cities. But in North America, what was the reason? To manufacture railway equipment. So their industrial development occurred because of the making of railway equipment, not because of the migration of people to work in factories, but They wanted to make railway equipment. In England, they were producing consumer goods, but here they wanted railway equipment so that rapid transport could link distant places and produce machinery which would make large scale farming easier. So here they were making large scale machinery, and in England they were focused on textile industries and other consumer goods. So here they wanted to make machinery. First of all, they wanted to make railway equipment. They can, so that they can transport, they can go to distant, very remote, very far away places, and they can produce machinery. And if quality machine is produced, it would make their farming cultivation very easy. Industrial towns grew and factories multiplied both in USA and Canada. In 1860, the USA had been an undeveloped economy. In 1890, it was the leading industrial power in the world. So in the year 1860, it was an undeveloped economy. The economy was not at all developed. But in the year 1890, it was the leading industrial power in the world. So it developed very fast. So it's a republic, it developed very fast. Not the old nations. Like Andrew told, old nations would be moving in a snail's pace very slowly. But USA, they calculated everything. They invested in railway equipment. They made a lot of machinery, became the leading industrial power. Large-scale agriculture also expanded. Vast areas were cleared and divided up into farms. So they started practicing agriculture on a large scale in huge areas of land. And a lot of areas were cleared and it was divided up into farms for agricultural practices. By 1890, bison had almost been exterminated, thus ending the life of hunting the natives had followed for centuries. So animal bison became endangered, and it was a favorite meat of the natives. And as they were not getting their favorite food, they had to stop hunting. In 1892, US's continental expansion was complete. The area between Pacific and Atlantic Ocean was divided up into states. So by 1892, the expansion of the continent, more and more areas, clearing of more and more areas, settling down, then founding of more areas for living, more areas for cultivation, more industries, etc. It became complete. Almost all the areas were covered. That is the area between Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. And afterwards, it was divided into several states. There no longer remained the frontier that had pulled European settlers west for many decades. So the frontier was not there, yeah, boundary was not there, which pulled European settlers west for many decades. Okay, so previously they had a boundary. Okay, like western portion they avoided because it was a desert, but now such a frontier as such a boundary was not there. Now afterwards, USA themselves became an imperial power. The USA themselves became a superior power like England, Portugal, Dutch, etc. They started setting up colonies in Hawaii and Philippines. They became imperialists. Okay. Now next portion we are going to learn is constitutional rights. That is how the natives fought for their rights. How the constitution protected the rights of natives. As you all know, in constitution, we can see rules and regulations to govern a country. Okay. So how they got the rights or how their rights are protected. The democratic spirit, which had been rallying cry of the settlers in their fight for independence in 1770s, came to define the identity of USA against the monarchies and aristocracies of the old world. So the settlers, they were fighting for independence in USA and they wanted democracy. They wanted a democratic spirit. And that shows that they were against the monarchies and aristocracies. They were against the kingship and they were against the landlords. So they wanted democracy. That is, people should elect their representatives and they should rule. They wanted democracy. So that shows that they were against the monarchies and aristocracies. Also important to them was their constitution included the right to property which the state could not override. And also these people, main demand was to right to property. As these people came from outside, they did not have the ownership land. So a new constitution should come, parliament should come, a republic should come, and it should guarantee the right to property to the people. Both democratic rights, but both democratic rights and the right to property were only for white men. Unfortunately, the settlers demanded right to property, they demanded independence, they demanded constitution, but everything was confined or everything was given to the white people only, not the native people. The right to vote for representatives to Congress, American Parliament, and for president. All the rights were given to the white people only. Daniel Cole, a Canadian native, pointed out in 2000 that Thomas Paine, the champion of democracy at the time of War of American Independence and French Revolution, used Indians as models of how the society must be organized. Okay, so look at Indians. They are the models and they are showing you how a society must be organized. That means everybody should be absorbed, everybody should be taken into confidence and not to avoid anyone, include everyone. He used this to argue that the Native Americans, by their example, sowed the seeds for long drawn out movement towards democracy by the people of Europe. So, along with the people of Europe, along with the settlers, the Native Americans, they planted the seed for democracy. Okay, so they wanted, they were clamoring, they were demanding for their rights. So they only started everything, and afterwards, European settlers also followed. Now, the winds of change, whether their demands were fulfilled, whether they got their rights, let us see. Not till 1920s did things begin to improve for the native peoples of USA and Canada. So till the year 1920s, nothing changed. After 1920s only, slight changes started coming. The problem of Indian administration, a survey directed by social scientist Lewis Merriam, published in 1928, only a few years before. The USA was swept by a major economic depression that affected all its people, painted a grim picture of the terribly poor health and education facilities for the natives in reservation. So one survey was conducted. One survey means one study was conducted to look at the situation, to look at the condition of the natives and all. So according to Lewis Merriam, before few years, that is before the years of 1928, there was a major economic depression in USA. Okay. And economic depression means unemployment was very high, the business activities were low, prices were low, profits were low, sales were low. So such a situation was economic depression or is economic depression. In economic depression, you will not get job. In economic depression, the goods will not get sufficient price, the sales will not be increased, profits will not be increased, and all the businesses would be running in loss. Such a type of situation is known as economic depression. So before few years, before the years of 1928, there was economic depression, and it showed that how they lack health and education facilities. White Americans felt sympathy for the natives who were being discouraged from the full exercise of their culture and simultaneously denied the benefits of citizenship. After so many struggles, so many hardships, white Americans, they even felt sympathy for the natives because the natives, original inhabitants who were living on their land, they were not having the opportunity to uphold their culture, their tradition, and they denied the benefits of citizenship. They did not get the citizenship even. They did not get the benefit of citizenship. They were living in USA. They are like the citizens, but they were not getting any kind of benefit. So this led to a landmark law in USA. Landmark law means a turning point law in USA. That is the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, which gave the natives the reservations, natives in reservation. Reservation means some areas are reserved for the natives. Okay, so that is the meaning, the natives in reservation. So they got the right to buy the land and take loans. Under which act? The Indian Reorganization Act of 1932. Under the Indian Reorganization Act of 1932, the natives who were living in reservations, reserved areas, had the right to buy the land and to take the loan. In 1950s and 60s, US and Canadian governments thought of ending all special privileges for the natives in the hope that they would join the mainstream, that is, adopt European culture, but natives did not want this. After 1950s and all, US and Canadian government, they tried to end the special provision. Why? So that they should consider themselves as the citizen of USA like the white people, and they should work along with the white people, joining hands by hand. Okay, so that no need to discriminate them. Okay, that is, they should get privileges or they should get special treatment. No privileges should be there. So they thought that let us make an egalitarian society, a society based on equality. So let us do away with all these kind of privileges. But the natives did not permit them. They wanted special privileges. They wanted special rights. In 1954, in the Declaration of Indian Rights prepared by them, here the Indians, or Declaration of Indian Rights means the natives. Okay, here the Indians means the natives only. A number of native people accepted citizenship of USA, but on the condition that their reservations should not be taken away and their traditions should not be interfered with. So after 1954, native people told that we are ready to become the citizen of USA, but we should get the special privileges, we should get reservation, and our culture traditions should not be taken away. A similar development occurred in Canada. In 1939, the government announced that they would not recognize the Aboriginal rights. Aboriginal right means the natives' rights. Okay. So in the year 1969, the Canadian government, they told that we are not recognizing you people as our citizens. And afterwards, the natives, they moved in a well-organized, systematic opposition move. They all stood together. They held a lot of demonstration, debates, criticism, etc., etc., etc. Until 1982, it was not sold. And afterwards, the Constitution Act accepted. Okay, till in 1982, it was not sold. And afterwards, an act was passed and they accepted the Aboriginals' right to own the property. They gave rights to the natives. But many details are still remaining unclear. Today, it is clear that the native people, the people who are living in respective country, the true people of the land, though they have reduced in number, though they became minority from the 18th century, they had been able to assert, they had been able to ask for their right to practice their own culture, their own tradition, and particularly in Canada, in their sacred land, in their holy land, to protect their culture, to protect their tradition, to speak their language, to get the property right, to get the citizenship right. Okay, so that should be there, or that they should get. So it was being ascertained, it became, made it clear. Hopefully you understood the portion. Thank you. And please do not forget to subscribe my channel.